It's time for Type 40 Live, the live stream Doctor Who magazine show for your weekend here across your view screen in real time on Rumble, X, YouTube and Facebook, where we track and cover all things Doctor Who, from the way back then to the right here and the right now, all in front of a live chat full of fellow friends, fans and companions just like you. And yes, a new season of Doctor Who is up and running. Well, it's running. It's running anyway, and there's no time to rest as we look ahead to episode 2, whilst we're also spending a little time later on to pay our respects to another Doctor Who family member who sadly left us this week. All of that and more on The Big Who. It's Type 40 Live. Hello. Welcome back to the console room, deep under the time-rotor here, where I've been fiddling and messing around, and later on I'll have a mess with that as well. So, hello everybody. Yes, welcome back. Welcome back to Type 40 Live. Is this the start of a week or the end of a week? So much live streaming, so much Doctor Who talk. I can't really keep track. But yeah, the machine is definitely sort of whizzing and whirling, isn't it? And the publicity machine is sort of coughing and spluttering. Not too much from the stars this week, more than enough from Russell T Davies. You've got to laugh, haven't you? You've got to laugh. I'm not sure if he's having a laugh or not. But here we are anyway, back in the fandom that he hasn't really got any time for and has no quarter for whatsoever. It's a good job we've got one another, isn't it, to bounce all these ideas around with, to have a good old moan, a rant, or a rave about all things Doctor Who. I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's King of the Geeks. We'll find out who you are in a moment or two, whichever platform that you're on, as well as we fill up the console room, as always here. The lighting is sort of low and purple-ish. You know, every time I think it's about to warm up, that summer could be on the way, it gets a bit parky again. I can barely keep up. Let's see if they've kept up, what they're doing, where they're at, and how they're feeling as we head into week 2 of the new season. Yeah, who else but Charlotte Shields?
Hello, everybody. I can't moan. I had sunglasses in a sunny Manchester, and if you're from the north, you know that's a rarity.
Sunglasses in sunny Manchester. I'm just amazed. I mean, Birmingham was actually quite sunny earlier in the week. I nearly got heat stroke in a roof garden. But apart from that was for about an hour. Apart from that, it's been terrible.
Well, yesterday it was miserable, and I was just, oh please, like it doesn't have to be warm. I just don't want it to have a bit of sun. And it was, like I said, I've had a good day wandering around, and I saw some Doctor Who promotion in the wild. Only one.
Wow. Okay. What was it?
In Piccadilly, they've got like some big screens which like cycle through different promotions.
Oh yeah, those electronic ones.
And it was the one they've done with when you're like looking upwards and they're on the planet that's on fire.
Yeah,
like
on the planetoid.
Promotion. But that was it. I didn't see anything else in the city. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the one they have.
I bet it looks great all lit up because of that kind of lava effect that they've got going on with it.
Yeah, it looks good when it's on like a big screen, definitely. But like that was it. Like actually in the city, when there's plenty of space to put your billboards and all your things, it was nowhere to be seen. Oh, you're muted, Mike.
I don't know how that happened. Yes, but nobody's really talking about it, just like I wasn't talking a moment ago. Nobody's really talking about it. And so even though we're heading up to the weekend and with this sort of new 8 a.m. premiere thing that they've got going on, I'm looking at that and thinking, okay, well, you know, what if I bump into somebody during the day and they tell me what happens in Doctor Who? But when hardly anybody's watching it, when it's recording figures of just 2 million, the odds of me bumping into somebody who's watched Doctor Who are fairly low. So I think I'll be okay.
Yeah, and as like David quite, I said, all of us I think were a bit guilty of not looking at that audience share, and because of David's brilliant sort of work, that's the bigger figure definitely from Monday. That's what I've definitely learned from that stream. Like,
Yeah,
wow, that was a drop.
I do know that ever since we started talking about that the other night, it's being sort of mass reported by more sort of mainstream websites and outlets and things. So yeah, it would appear that we've got the fandom talking about something. Thanks again to David and Luke for another fantastic show the other night, and Anthony as well. It was a really, really good conversation. You had the early edition of Type 40 live every Monday at 8 p.m. UK time, as always. But yeah, back here on Thursday, let's bring in the rest of them. Who have we got? Real life time traveler, no less. This time he always looks like he's in the Batcave to some degree or another. This time though, he's got all the computers and stuff on the go, just like Bruce Wayne does when he's watching out for what's going on in Gotham City. Hi, Matt.
I am looking for the Riddler. Do you mind? Hi, here. Happy Easter, everyone. Happy Easter.
Oh, yes.
It's a Good Friday here, so yeah.
I almost forgot. I was almost forgetting about that.
Yeah.
You got any plans for Easter, Matt?
No, it's going to be a quiet Easter. It's funny because we've got 2 long weekends here, so this is the first long weekend. So yeah, it's going to be like, I think it's going to be another movie day.
Walk the dog, catch up on some movies, that kind of thing. Do you do chocolate eggs where you are? Are they a thing?
Oh God, yes. Oh yes. We also do Easter buns, but there's actually a war between our supermarkets at the moment. So they've got to make the weirdest Easter buns. So hot cross buns. Yeah, so they'll put like wagon wheels inside the Easter buns, or
will they?
Yeah, or we've got marshmallow Easter buns. It's crazy.
Is it sort of like in
Reese's?
UK, well, it reminds me of like in UK when Walkers pick a random weird flavour for their crisp for a bit.
Yeah. Oh, well, this is over a 3-month period while we deal with Easter, you know. So yeah, it's a bit of fun.
Of course, usually when we're doing this show around the Easter time, we're going on a bit of a break at Easter because there's not much going on in Doctor Who, and we also go off for a couple of weeks and do our thing. But this time we're in the dead heat, really, of a new season of Doctor Who. We're approaching fever pitch. I think that if there's anybody who can sort of bring us down to earth and make sure that we stay on point, it's absolutely Gary Akers, the retro doc. Hi, Gary.
Oh, staying on point is overrated. You know, actually, every Easter, I have like a big bunny suit in the other room, and I dress up like that. And then on Saturday nights, I climb down people's chimneys in the neighborhood and leave eggs in their kitchen. It's great.
Have you got any? You haven't got a criminal record for any of this behavior yet?
Oh, they've got to catch me first, Dan.
Happy Easter,
Are you
Gary.
in like a bunny suit then?
Ears and everything.
Ears and everything.
If you want to hear a crazy story, I once believed I saw Easter Bunny out and about putting the Easter eggs down, and I can swear that I was probably about 20, but no, and I wasn't drunk at the time. No, I was only about 5, but I can swear that I saw him out and about, and I'm like, no, that can't be right.
Was he invisible?
He didn't touch you anywhere, did he?
No, he didn't touch me anywhere. What are you talking about?
Happy Easter,
he wasn't a wumble.
Yes, so heaven knows where the rest of the conversation is going to go, but I do fear the worst already. Let's get more wholesome, shall we, and look at some more Easter artwork. This one has been sent in especially for Easter by the fabulous Tom at T Dwarf Productions. This is his Easter-themed picture. He does one of these, doesn't he, at Christmas and around Halloween and things like that, and he hasn't let the side down at all for Easter 2025. Check it out.
Oh, good job, Tom.
Not only has he got a Dalek with some bunny ears on there, but there's also one of the spiders, one of the creatures that he's used before. I think that was in the Halloween one, wasn't it? And there's his sort of robot rabbit with a red tie. There's his own mascot there in the middle, who's sort of waving at us with the purple face and the bunny ears. I'm not quite sure what the creature is on the far right, holding the basket of eggs.
Yeah,
something from a Godzilla film, wasn't it?
Because the rabbit is from a video game.
Oh, okay.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's, but I don't know about that one on the right. Tom, you're in the chat. I've seen you. You'll have to let us know.
Yeah, we'll check in with Tom in a moment. He'll fill in some blanks for us. But there's a little. That must be the robot chicken he was trying to tell me about the other night, which did sort of crack me up right at the bottom. And the little creature there. Is it wombat or something?
I wouldn't.
It's
I wouldn't
a proper
trust that
flight.
spider.
It's a proper flight of fancy, and this is what I love about Tom stuff. It's like looking at something from a parallel universe where all of the rules simply don't apply. A wonderland in and of itself, and he's even set the thing off with a little egg there at the right with his own emblem on. So yeah, fabulous stuff, Tom. Thanks for sending it in. If that doesn't get you in the Easter spirit, quite frankly, Gary, I don't know what will.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, you can't. I mean, nothing says Easter like a Dalek with ears. But
No.
this is great. I mean, what's the little creature like by the Dalek? It looks familiar to me, but I can't place him. The one little the basket, the little tiny guy.
If you play our cards right, Tom he'll tell us. He'll fill in some gaps in a moment or two. From one Tom to another, though. Now, Tom Baker, he has been known to like the odd drink. Now and again, when the stars align, of course. And it doesn't seem to have changed in the 40-odd years since he's not been Doctor Who on telly, because Tom has been snapped this very week. Snapped, and believe it or not, at his age, he has been papped as well. So he was at the Mermaid Inn on Mermaid Street here in Rye in England. What a fabulous place this looks. All those beams. Looks very authentic, doesn't it? I wonder how old this place is.
Proper Tudor houses, though. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, fabulous stuff. But he was here with Cygnus Alpha, which is the events business run by a friend of the show, Ian Kubiak, and they were staging one of their more intimate occasions last weekend, where fans were given the chance to meet the Doctor himself, Tom Baker, last Saturday at the Mermaid Inn. And this has really travelled. So pictures of Tom have been in the mainstream media, in the press. And I thought it'd be nice to have a look at some of these. Here he is. Look, age 91,
Wow.
up and about. I mean, he looks a tad confused there, but he could be looking at the price of a pint. I think that's probably what that is, Matt. It's gone up a touch.
He could still play the Doctor. Come back. just put him straight. Say it's a pub, but actually make it a studio. Be fantastic.
Well, I think you could probably film Tom Baker for half an hour just being himself. And he would be more doctorish than Shooty Gatwa would be in an entire season.
I mean, what an actor. And it's so good to see him up and about,
Up and about and smiling
Physical.
too, Charlotte. I mean, look at that smile. Just, it's extraordinary. Youthful.
But he always had a
91.
bit of a manic quality to his smile, which is what I loved about his Doctor, and that's not changed.
No. And people always seem pretty pleased to see him anyway. I mean, when you see these pictures, obviously people have paid to see him, they're going to be pretty pleased to see him. But the general members of the public as well, when they have selfies taken and things like that with him. Obviously, this was an organised event from Cygnus Alpha. These sell out pretty quickly, and they're very limited numbers. And that is Ian's arm there coming in from the right with the kind of James May style shirt. I'm going to have to get Ian back on the show sometime soon. But yeah, Tom is all smiles as he makes his way into the pub to meet some of his adoring public. I just thought this is great. Crushed velvet waistcoat and all, very Sylvester McCoy, but I wouldn't tell him that. And chords are very much back in, so he's even on point with his fashion, Gary, more than me.
I can't imagine what it would be like, sitting in that pub, just kind of in his presence, just kind of listening to him, because he always has, wonderful stories, and even his tangents are mesmerizing. Yeah. And I mean, I'd love to see, if he would be up for it, I'd love to see like a new TV, kind of like a Murder, She Wrote TV series where he just wanders around that village solving mysteries. I think that would be great.
Solving mysteries, or just sort of sharing bags of crisps with people.
Yeah, just wandering around, just doing whatever he wants, like a reality show.
can listen to Tom Baker talk about pretty much anything. I've no idea what he talked to people about. It was probably about their childhoods and things like that, and signed a few bits and pieces and posted photographs, because there are some fabulous pictures all across social media. People are very generous when they go to these things, and obviously they've just had a moment, for many of them, Matt, with somebody they've always looked up to, whether they were around for his era being originally on screen or not. There's something sort of multi-generational about love for this man and his doctor, and people post up the pictures, don't they, because they want to share their joy. It's the effect this man has on people is extraordinary.
Yeah. I once saw an entire a lot of people going around hanging around Ray Bradbury, and he was in a wheelchair, and I just thought, that poor bugger is like, he's being mobbed virtually.
Oh, okay.
But I thought at least people are being really, really respectful to him, and giving him the room that he needs, and it'd be an honor to meet him. It really would be. I just love Tom so much, and it just brings back so many fond memories of watching him on the TV.
It's like the years have melted away, isn't it? There's a link in the description to this video to go to Cygnus Alpha's website and keep tabs on who will be at their next events. They do the longer ones over a full day, or these intimate ones for an afternoon there with people like Tom, but not just from Doctor Who, from other shows as well. So you can keep tabs on whatever's coming up next, and maybe you'll get lucky and get a ticket for one of these events. And please, if you do, tell them that Type 40 Live sent you. So Tom went in there and met his adoring fans. Maybe, I don't know if he supped a couple. I don't know. I don't know if he still drinks or not, or at least maybe he got a pasty or something like that. And then he left and went about the rest of his day. And here he is, up on his feet, up and out. There is.
He looks like he's better and straight with having a few pints.
yeah. It set him straight for the rest of the day. Yeah.
I wonder what he likes to drink most, if he's a port person.
Oh, I'd say.
Well, I think Lee's in the chat once had fun having to serve him, so he can probably tell you in a pub. I think.
Oh, tell me, Lee.
I think he's
in the Android invasion, he liked ginger beer. He ordered ginger beer from the pub in the Android invasion.
Maybe that's what he was necking.
But that's the Doctor's character. The Doctor didn't smoke either.
Yeah, I suspect Tom probably favoured a snake bite or something like that during his days on the grog. Obviously, if you've met Tom Baker, if you were there for this event there at the Mermaid, let us know there in the comments on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X, and tell us all about it by all means. What I like about classic Doctor Who as well, as I say, it's more alive than ever, and people are finding new photographs and things all the time. And just this week, a new photograph from Image of the Fendel was unearthed, and I'd never seen this before. It turns out I think it was in the Radio Times archive or something like that. Of the Fourth Doctor, drenched in shadows. Yeah, and you put that next to him as he is now, and it's like, could he play the part again? You know what, Matt? You could be right.
Yeah,
I definitely still got it.
That looks like one of the ones that the BBC would try to make up now, and that's really, really cool. I'd have that on my wall. I would.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, if it's not AI generated, and it's definitely real.
Yeah,
100%.
I was going to say to Tom, like, they've got him in the canon as the curator. Like, they've got a way to bring him if they didn't want to do his Doctor. And for me, the curator was basically his Doctor. It was just a different title they gave him that 50th, but the acting and the way it was characterized was pretty much the same. And if we had, like, in Jodie's, all those classic Doctors coming back, I find it a bit odd, actually, that Tom hasn't had some sort of second appearance, even if it was only like a little one. No. Like I said, old Peter and Paul and all that them got for Jodie's final episode.
It's fair to say that he does look different now from how he did 12 years ago, but it's still Tom. They could explain it somehow. I think I know.
Colin Baker looks a lot different when he was last in Doctor Who, so I think Tom you could get away with.
Yeah.
I think I know how the day probably finished for Tom. as well there after all that signing and meeting the fans and in the pub as well. I think it probably went something like this. And
There you go.
I'd like to think it did anyway. So again, a Cygnus Alpha events. That's where to go to get the first details on if they're going to do it again. There's a link in the description there. I think I know what could wake Tom up, though. It could be, knowing Tom, if it's not another beer, it could be the sight of healthy young flesh. And this is a prime example. Here's the actor Ncuti Gatwa there on the right. This is the first publicity image for Jay Roach's new movie, The Roses. That's in cinemas from August the 25th, 2025. Stars Olivia Colman there in the centre with Ncuti Gatwa, along with Benedict Cumberbatch there. And this is from Searchlight Pictures. It was announced this week. There's trailers and things out and everything, but it was a surprise for a lot of people to see Ncuti Gatwa there in the cast. So had you seen this, anybody?
Yeah, I saw the trailer, but I hadn't seen that. I was like, I only watched about half of the trailer, so I didn't see if he was in it. But no, I thought, oh, hang on, he is doing a War of the Roses movie. And I thought, no, if I keep going, I'll probably see him. So I turned it off because I realized they changed the name of it. So I was like,
is that what this is? A remake of
of the War of the Roses. It was better with Michael Douglas.
Well, as much as I like Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman, I can sort of take her or leave her. But I think this is an intriguing idea. And Jay Roach, when was the last decent film that Jay Roach made? It's been a while, but you're quite right. This is a remake of the 1989 movie directed by Danny DeVito himself, way back then, that starred Catherine Turner and Michael Douglas. So did I. So I haven't seen it for a number of years. So
I remember how it ended, and it was really strange.
Well, it's not one that I ever imagined would get a remake.
And it was a dark comedy, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
From what I remember, and how dark this could possibly be, heaven knows it doesn't look that dark at all. But you never know.
No, it looked very, very friendly.
Yeah. The blurb says, life seems easy for picture-perfect couple Ivy and Theo. Successful careers, a loving marriage and great kids. But beneath the facade of their supposed ideal life, a storm is brewing as Theo's career nosedives while Ivy's own ambitions take off. A tinderbox of fierce competition and hidden resentment ignites. That's what it says. That's what it says in the blurb.
No, that's just, no. I know that they're trying to do that modern.
Does Ncuti play their son?
Probably.
And that's their daughter. Yep.
I mean, I do wonder, do you think they deliberately asked for someone who preferred to work in short trousers? Could it be cheaper on the wardrobe budget or something, Charlotte?
Or that was Ncuti's suggestion.
Wore his own clothes.
He's wearing high heels. I knew this was coming out. I didn't know they'd done a trailer for it.
It just released in the last day or two. I know a lot of Doctor Who fans will be rushing, of course, to see this because by the end of season 2, you won't be able to have gotten enough.
Yes,
enough of Ncuti Gatwa. So the Roses is in cinemas from August the 29th, 2025.
Benedict Cumberbatch, the Doctor we could have had.
Maybe. Ncuti is in the cinema a little earlier, of course, this coming weekend in episode 2 of the current season of Doctor Who, there with Varada Satu. And we'll talk some more about that a little later on there. I think we should go and check in on the live chat, though, and see what they've got to say about all of this. If Tom is still around and if you can identify any of those creatures in his fabulous picture. Happy Easter, everybody. Happy Easter.
Watch Time 40, or I will be paying you a little visit.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us so far. Let's get cracking and see what everybody's up to and what your plans are for the long Easter weekend. If you're getting a long one, that is. Oh, you know what I mean. If you've got anything planned, let us know, whether it's geeky or not, and we can always take the piss. Yes, so who's here and what are they rambling on about this time? Let's have a look. Ooh, all our way back. Happy Easter, says Domgo. Happy Easter to the panel and all Who fans everywhere. This look, his emoji game is considerably better than mine, Gary.
That's I stare at that every time one of his comments comes up. It's like I'm transfixed by that.
You've got to decode it, haven't you? Lee Smith's here in the live chat too, watching on YouTube. To the Matt
I call
Cave,
this the
Robin.
Matt Cave. I do. I call it the Matt Cave. Yeah, I do. Welcome to the Matt Cave.
Evening also, Simon Ashley. Good evening to you too, Simon. We've got lots and lots of comments here from everybody. Thank you so much. Tom is kicking around as well. We've got Rob Alexander in and we have there's Tom. Hi everyone, happy Easter. I'm still building my robot chicken.
Oh, that's another Five Nights at Freddy's thing then, Dan. That's why it's a robot chicken.
Have at it. Let's know the progress of said chicken, and we'll follow it over the coming weeks. Yes, Stephen Braddock's with us there. Yes, he's bemoaning the fact that Russell T Davies is talking out of his arse again. You know, this.
Nice mandrel.
Why?
I love that mandrel.
Yeah, nice work. I think we've got some of Stephen's work coming up a little later on in the show as well. And we've got Rob, we've got Peter. Peter's in as well. Peter Harrington, that is. We said hello to Domgo, but Ezra Goldstein's here as well. Hey all, panel and chat, and we've got a greetings all too from the Zero Room.
Ooh.
Zero Room sounds like an album by the KLF, doesn't it? That Zero Room. We've got Oti there in the live chat. Evening all, I've started series 5 of Hetty Feather. First episode is great humor wise, but Sheila's departure was a bit out of character. Anybody have the faintest idea what Otis?
I remember Hetty Wainthrop, but I don't.
Yeah.
I don't
Hetty
remember
Feather.
Hetty Feather.
You've lost me,
No
but you do
idea.
you. I hope you're having a brilliant time. So you keep going.
Trisha Routledge is fantastic.
I remember that. Is she's still around as well? Break a Leg suggests Matthew Butterfield. I don't really want to do that.
No.
I think I know what you mean. Thank you. Happy Easter to you as well. Rose Kirby's in the live chat. Hello, chat. Type 40, time for tea, double chocolate chip cookies or Jaffa cakes.
Ooh,
Hey,
chocolate
remember
chip.
to show
Chocolate
that.
chip.
Are you a chocolate chip person? I prefer a Jaffa cake. I haven't had any Jaffa cakes in
chocolate
years.
chip.
You're a chocolate chip guy as well.
Mm.
Obviously, let us know.
Oh, we don't have
Instagram,
Jaffa cakes here,
Alex.
so we're good.
You don't have
Mint
Option's
slices
choice.
we have.
mint slices.
Yeah. It looks like your Jaffa cakes, but it's actually got like mint inside.
Oh, okay.
Ooh,
I bet that's
nice.
I bet that's nice. Yeah, I bet that's nice. Shelley Ingalls joined us there on
Hello,
YouTube
Shelley.
as well. Happy to have you with us, Shelley, yet again. And we have Garbage too in the live chat asking, did anyone watch episode 1 and is not going back for the second episode? Well, I'm certainly going to be watching on Saturday. How about you, Charlotte?
Yeah, and I'm intrigued with this one. I've said this is the one that I'm sort of want to see what they do.
Yeah. Matt, you're staying away completely this time, aren't you? You've
pick
dipped.
which one's not watching it. No. I'm out. I did happen to accidentally watch a snippet from the newer episode with the cartoon character. Yeah.
We're gonna look at that in a little while. Matt is also in the chat. Matt, the silent Wii Music King. That is so different. Matt with a far longer name. Hi, Matt. And you're quite right.
I'm not
Lee
the
is in
tone.
too. Let's work our way through here and see if we've got any comments from Tom. They're identifying his various creatures. YW is just checking in for a bit to ask how everyone's been.
Hello.
How long have you got?
Tom
YW?
did actually identify the little creature I was asking about. He said that's a character from Ultraman.
Yeah, and I think he said
Ultraman.
another one was Ultraman as well.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
yes. Yes.
That
Okay.
makes sense. It does look somewhat Japanese
Yeah.
of origin, Matt.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's definitely, I'm expecting it to roll down a hill or something. Yep.
Or get big, Matt.
Yeah, get big and roll down a hill.
Unsurprisingly, there's a lot of love for Tom Baker there in the live chat. Fantastic, Tom. Just fantastic. Doctor Who ratings in the live chat there asks, is there an email address to contact the show? Yes, type 40. What is it? Type 40 Doctor Who at outlook.com. I usually save that for the podcast, don't I? Type 40 Doctor Who at outlook.com. That's the website. Or you can reach us Instagram and X at Type 40 Doctor Who. Lots of the contact details coming up later on, and all the various places that you can find us. Live and Flame is in the live chat. Exila. It's Exila.
Cool.
Nobody's
That's
made
good
that yet, but it could be. Yeah, You should trademark that. I think that somebody could pick up on that. And Stephen says, it's nice to see all those characters all getting on so well together, especially the Dalek not exterminating everyone.
Yes.
Maybe he's happy in his bunny ears. Do you think after 60 years that all that really needed to bring out the lighter side to a Dalek, Gary, was a pair of bunny ears after all?
Well, at this point, all the Dalek does is, sit on its porch and tell the kids to get off the lawn and exterminates them if they don't.
Yeah, and I used to be famous once.
Vanessa Law has joined us in the live chat,
Hello,
so it's
Vanessa.
definitely time for us to start the show proper. Now we've got her exalted. Exalted, is that a word? Exalted, I'm going with it anyway. Exalted presence. Thank you, Tom, for this fabulous Easter picture. We love it. They do too. And I reckon she probably would as well.
She doesn't care about the rest of us, just Dan.
Yeah.
we approve of this message.
She can have him.
Shooty Gaspard there. Back in long trousers on Saturday when Doctor Who's back on. Saturday the 19th of April, 8 a.m. again. That drops on iPlayer and Disney Plus later that day on BBC One in the UK. More about that later, as always, as well as our tribute to that dearly departed member of the Doctor Who family. If you want more from us, get the Type 40 podcast in your ears at all major podcatchers, and at our home feed at type40.podbean.com as well. They're the very latest edition. That's myself and Simon talking to Alex Storer, friend of the show, Alex Storer, and proper published writer Alex Storer there with David J. House, stalwart of the Doctor Who community, I suppose, the Uber collector. He's even got his own museum, David, a fascinating guy. So we talked to him, and there's all those previous editions of the podcast there to catch up on. But this is Type 40 Live on Rumble, X, YouTube and Facebook with your comments, more stupid dad jokes, even stupider clips, and maybe the odd pearl of wisdom tucked away somewhere under the mug, or maybe inside a Jaffa cake or whatever. I don't know. We just close our eyes and sort of hope for the best. That's how we blunder through here at Type 40 Live. Yes, here we are again. Doctor Who returned to screens last week. Not that many screens.
Did it?
Certainly. Well, TV screens anyway, but there were cheers here and there after a fashion.
Hello.
But we here at Type 40 Live, we got to the heart.
Don't worry,
of the
girls, you're
matter.
safe.
We got to the heart of the matter on recent Type 40 Live shows, and it's time to move on already, though, because episode 2 is coming at us this weekend, believe it or not. The show spends so much time off air, Charlotte, that when it is on, it's like, oh, really? Another one? It's like somebody continually sort of offering you another slice of cake or another pint or something. Really? For me?
Well, yeah, and especially as we get less now. So you sort of, when you're in the proper at the beginning, it feels like you've got loads and to watch.
Get it while you can. That's that's the truth of the matter, Matt. I mean, even though you're out, you must remember that feeling of excitement every week. Where we're going to go this week? Oh my God, it's nearly Saturday. It was a real rush.
Yeah, it was real event television, and those 13 weeks I looked forward to. And if there was a week that they were off for the week, I was like, damn, I've got to wait 2 weeks. They used to do that occasionally, if you remember.
And they used to do it sometimes in the middle of a story. Wasn't there a 2-week gap between Parts of Human Nature and Family of Blood or something like that? Was that one of them?
Yeah. There was
a Moppet had weird breaks in his ear that would just not be on for a bit and then it come back.
Yeah, that was longer than a week.
Yeah, not good. So Matt is already out. The rest of us are in. I think lots of people in the live chat are still in, even if they've got their reservations, I think would be the polite way of putting it. But yeah, episode 2 is coming this weekend. Let's have a quick look now.
The question is, who trains at the cinema?
15 people went missing, just disappeared.
What happened?
Short and sweet. This is another one from Russell T. Davis called Lux. Not Flux, Lux this time. This coming Saturday, the 19th of April, 2025, 7:15 p.m. on BBC One. So a little bit later. They're cutting that fine. But I mean, obviously this looks quite idiosyncratic. And this is the one that we saw out filming when people realised that Millie Gibson had gone, and who's this girl running around with Ncuti Gatwa? Why is he dressed like that? All that kind of thing. God, nearly a year and a half ago now, and we're finally going to get to see it. There seems to be a lot of, certainly at least once per season, there comes an episode where there's so many photos that have come out about it beforehand, Gary, that's almost as if we feel we've already seen it.
Yeah, and wasn't this one of the one we're looking at now, wasn't this like one of the very first ones from this season? Because I remember seeing this like months and months and months ago, that this was the first glimpse of this season that we had.
I think it probably was. There's certainly more clips of this in the package that they put out at Christmas, I believe.
Yeah, because I think this one looks like it's got quite a bit of outdoor filming compared to some of the others. I've got if you think about Robot Revolution, it was pretty much all CG, like the planet. So that was probably done in studio. So it looks like this has actually got more location possibly shooting.
Yeah, definitely. I can't remember where it is they actually filmed it. It wasn't Miami. But I know that's where they're meant to be. It's probably Port Talbot or somewhere like that. I don't know. But I do like, obviously, I think we all like a bit of period Doctor Who. There's no point in being Doctor Who unless you're going to go back in the past, back in history. And it's good now that it's not always somewhere in England, that they do go overseas with it. And most of the time they do that quite convincingly, Matt, don't they? Various points. We've been all over the world now with this show, and it hasn't always been filmed where they've said it would be filmed.
Well, I mean, the Enemy of the World was set in Australia, and that was nowhere near Australia. So, there's quite a few. I remember when Peter Capaldi came over, they were like, when are you coming to Australia to do an episode? We were just hankering for it, and it never happened. It never eventuated, unfortunately. He went to America and everything, but I'm talking about the Doctor here. It's just it's good to actually have a time travel story, and hopefully with the time that it's set in, it won't be another Rosa Parks episode where they start being more concerned about his skin color than anything. I hope that's not even addressed in this episode. So but yeah, no, I'm just
revel in the novelty of the period. I think in those clothes, in the cars, and in this sort of idea of the history of the golden age of cinema, Gary, I suppose. I mean, when do you think this looks like it was set? I mean, my guess would be the early 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say, based on the cars and those outfits, no later than the middle of the decade. So
I would say probably about 55. Because Shooty's dressed like someone out of Back to the Future, you know, the
I was going to say it would be
1955.
great to have a shot with like somebody just like skating by like on a hoverboard. Don't even refer
Wouldn't
to
it be
it.
great
Just
with the
let us see it.
DeLorean in there?
Yeah, there you go.
Get one in the background. Just drop it
Yeah,
in
two
somewhere.
time machines, you know.
Could be a laugh. Could be a laugh. So this is the aesthetic, but the story's going to pick up where it left off with the Doctor's new companion, Belinda. She's smiling there. She wasn't too happy, but the mission statement is to get her home. It seems like she's got to go the long way round Charlotte. I don't know when this is going to pick up, how soon after that first episode, and how furious it's going to be, because there was lots of things going on, wasn't there, with things sort of bouncing around through time and space and very trippy effects, and the TARDIS can't get to where it needs to go. It can't seem to get to the Earth. There's a kind of boundary there. In the meantime, he's going to convince this young woman to go off and go wherever they need to go before he's able to hopefully get her home. It's in my opinion, that's a decent hook, considering it's just 7 more episodes of the show before it's all got to wrap up.
Well, yeah, it sort of reminds me, if you know the audios, actually, the whole Lucy Miller storyline, like her first sort of series,
Yes,
had that idea of she sort of appeared on the ship when she didn't want to. The Doctor didn't want her there, so he tried to get her home, and like there was some force, which we later found out what it was. So I think this time around, there's stuff about Belinda which isn't new. It hasn't been done before, but I think it's a better premise than we had with Ruby. That Ruby was just sort of dangling a mystery without really doing a lot of good writing. It was just, oh, look, she's special somehow. She's different without doing anything in depth. Whereas this has got that chance to actually... because she's a reluctant companion, you could have that fun, if it's done right, of her warming to the Doctor, her sort of learning to enjoy the travel, and then you've got the mystery of what's blocking, what's this force which seems to be sort of all-powerful, which the Doctor can't get past.
in many respects, I think with Doctor Who, because of the target audience being sort of wide, being very mainstream, less is more. But you've got to make each episode memorable, and this is certainly very memorable imagery here on screen. They've been putting out images from this, as I said, for months and months on end, in this vintage theatre here, this vintage cinema, which looks a lot like the cinema that I used to go to when I was a child, except it was a lot more run down in the mid-'80s. But I've since found out I have it on. I wondered, because there's a lot of old cinemas in Wales, and they've used them before for locations in Doctor Who and Torchwood, some of these period buildings. But I've been told, again by a source of mine, that this was entirely made. They actually built this full size at Bad Wolf Studios. So this was all carpeted, all decked out, all of the seats. It's all fake. It's not a real location. It's all in the studio. Very elaborate, isn't it?
Yeah, if they need to do effects and stuff to do with the cartoon, that would make sense why they'd build their own then.
I love looking at, when they come up like in my Facebook feed, looking at like classic theaters, the whole like the Art Deco.
Yeah. They used to have themes, didn't they, Gary? They used to have themes back in the 50s and that, like the Egyptian and all that. I'm thinking of,
or like the dome shape, the Cinedome. But I mean, just the Art Deco, when a lot of those were done, to me is just the most beautiful architecture. I mean, when I was a wee tot, one of the theaters I loved going to was it was kind of similar to this. It had, just this glorious Art Deco, all around. And, when you go into a theater like that, like as a little kid, it just looks gigantic. And, some of my fondest memories are, going to that theater and seeing like Disney movies or things like that. If they can replicate that look, that's terrific.
As I remember it, Gary, in the one that I used to go to, depending on the kind of film that you were watching and how things would change, so the orientation of the light and the lighting in the theatre itself, it was as if the light would sort of lick various parts of the ceiling and walls, revealing little details of that Art Deco look, something that was carved into the wall, or a set of lights that you didn't know that they were there because they only came on during the interval or at matinees or things like that. There was so much detail, so much love, and a flair put into these things, which I think has been really nicely recreated here. I was so surprised to find out this was a set. I mean, I thought it might have been a genuine location that they might have painted up, but no, this was all done in studio. We've got some comments here in the live chat. Matthew Pounder says, monster crawls out of a screen. Ring did it first and better. We haven't seen this yet, Matthew. So we don't know, do we? And to be fair, you can't really show Ring to an 8-year-old, can you? Or at least I never showed it to my kids when they were 8. And Joss H says, this is very similar to that Torchwood episode.
Which one?
I think I know that. Hasn't it got Billis in it? The old fella.
I can remember the one being in an Art Deco cinema. I just can't remember the overall plot.
Yeah. So that cartoon character is huge, but the one in the trailer is small. Well, I think the idea is he can sort of go big or go small, like Ant-Man in the Avengers comics. He can do both. Obviously, what this reminds me of, Matt, being a bit of a Disney guy, the clips that I've seen so far, it's got a touch of the Mary Poppins or Bedknobs and Broomsticks about it. I love all that stuff, Gary.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh no,
Roger Rabbit. I always think of
Roger
theater.
Rabbit, same.
Yeah, the theater I just mentioned. I remember my mom taking me to see, it was a re-release, obviously, but Mary Poppins at that theater. So yeah, great. And I loved. Did your theaters have the red velvet curtain that, you know, when the movie was about to start, the curtain would part?
Yes,
back,
you know, over to the sides. Yeah.
Wonderful stuff. So I'm hoping. I mean, it doesn't look very Disney. Apparently, this is going to be a scary one, but we shall see. Won't we? We shall see.
It's more Fleischer than Disney.
Yeah. The style of animation.
But then I also looked at. It was a little bit jarring as well because I am a bit of an animation aficionado. But the bits where they actually.
That sounded so pretentious. Thing.
Yeah. But the now I forgot what I was going to say. No, I haven't. So the Shooty when Shooty's cartoonified or whatever you call it, that they go into a Hanna-Barbera style all of a sudden rather than the thing. So hopefully, you know, you guys can tell me if that's explained. If it's not, they did a complete and utter weird
job,
thing
basically.
there. They didn't keep it in the same sort of style at all. So,
no. Philip Roy is in the live chat, of course, Doctor Who himself, and he says the outside was filmed at Penarth Pier, a mile or so from Cardiff. My favourite place for a run on my 50-year-old Vespa for an ice cream. There you go. That sounds amazing, Phil.
I thought you lived in France if you got a Vespa.
That sounds really cool. Yeah, I thought it might be somewhere like that. Problem being, there says the Art Deco style is the 20s, the 30s. Yeah, but it did sort of remain in place, didn't it, for a number of decades.
Very long time. The Egyptian, the Egyptian version, it's still around, I think. But they did a lot of modifications in that over the years. So, you know. I mean, our cinema's got about 9, and 2 of them are virtually unchanged. So, and they were the very first 2 that we had. So, it's it just, and that's from the 70s. So, some things don't change.
Now we just have the theaters with all the soul-sucking neon. You get in there, you get blinded by all the neon. It's like, give me the Art Deco ones any day.
We used to have fish. We used to have a fountain with fish. Yeah, wishing well.
Like I say, it is a bit like going to the zoo. Whenever I go to the multiplex now, they're that undisciplined. They don't just let people have their phones on. There's like kids running around. There's people fighting.
If you want, I know this recently. Is I know this is totally off topic, but if you want a laugh, go on to YouTube and find like the little short videos of somebody recording what's going on in those theaters showing Minecraft, where
Oh,
there's
it's crazy.
millions of popcorn buckets throwing up in the air and it's utter chaos. It's hilarious to watch.
Oh.
I'd hate to be caught in it, but it's great fun to watch.
Recently, we had some they said that there was we had underground. I don't know if you guys ever had them, but we had underground cinemas, and recently they said these historical cinemas, and I was like, they opened before when I was like 10. So suddenly, am I historical? What the hell? You know, I always thought historical was like over 100 years old or something. It's like not 40.
Comes to us all, Matt. Comes to us all.
I know, it's terrible, isn't it? I've got cobwebs on me. Sorry.
The episode is called Lux. I'm not quite sure what that refers to. I mean, there's the word deluxe. It sort of implies something luxurious, doesn't it? I suppose we'll see where that goes.
Well, the picture you showed earlier, Dan, with the cars, didn't I see that Lux was the name of the actual theater? That they were. I thought I saw Lux on the mark. There you go.
I'm never sure whether these graphics are actually authentic to what's in the actual.
I
don't think these are stills of the episode, or whether they've been especially sort of dressed and dropped in there.
All right, sorry about that.
The cinema seems to be called. I didn't
LUX.
do it. Yeah, there's something else. We shall see. We shall see as the episode kicks in. Won't we? Let us know what you think of it, everybody. Cinema have massive foyers now. They do, don't they? It's because they flog everything. Everything.
Well, that's where they make their money. They make their money on the popcorn and that, don't they?
They have a few deco ones in Liverpool that have been refurnished. Just Peter, oh, you're so lucky, Peter. They just demolished them all here.
Yeah.
And Darren Bradley says that my dad was born in the cinema. Nothing too drastic. My granddad owned the cinema.
That's good then, really.
Was he conceived in the cinema? That's what I want to know.
Darren, do you know what movie was playing when your dad was born? That would be interesting.
I just misread Lee Smith's comment here. Lux is Latin for light. It says, I thought it said Lux is Latin for far right. I thought.
Oh, okay. There you go. Oh, that's what we say during the episode.
We've got, so in the Radio Times last week, if you remember, they put out previews for each of the 8 episodes of season 2, teased by Russell T Davies himself, the fans' favourite person at the moment, as you know. And he said of this one, this is Lux, directed by Amanda Brochty. The Doctor tries to return Belinda to the day she left Earth, but a mysterious force keeps making the TARDIS bounce off course, and one of those bounces takes them to Miami at 4 a.m. in 1952. Things are different at night, says the Doctor, aware of danger from the moment they arrive. In the Palazzo Picture House, an old cartoon, Mr. Ring-a-Ding Goes to Town, is playing, but as the hapless projectionist, Reginald Pye, looks on in horror, Mr. Ring-a-Ding somehow steps from the screen, accompanied by the sound of screams. It's a long night of terror on the Florida coast. How do you fight, Matt? How do you fight a living cartoon?
Well, I just found out that Amanda Brochty is actually Australian, and she's done 2 episodes. So that's interesting to know. Very interesting to know.
A whole block there. This is the one, of course, this is Mr. Ring-a-Ding, the cartoon character climbing out of the screen. He's the one that's voiced by returning guest performer Alan Cumming. He played the King, didn't he, back in 2018 in The Witchfinders, the Jodie Whittaker one. We just get his voice this time. Good actors have done voice work on Doctor Who, haven't they? Michael Sheen did a similar role. So did Ian McKellen, as I remember. So this is a bit of a tradition as well. Alan Cumming, I like his acting more than I like him. Let's put it that way. I'm sure it'll be great.
He's too Kenneth Williams for me, and I like Kenneth Williams. He's a bit of a Kenneth Williams knockoff.
Can you be too Kenneth Williams? Oh, maybe you
can.
Maybe you can.
He's just too camp. He's more camp than shooting.
So, but this could be one that that scares the kids, puts the kids behind the sofa. If there's any kids left watching, of course, I say I'm not sure I would put my kids in front of this version of Doctor Who if they were the supposed traditional target audience. Now, I'd like to think that perhaps somebody could find this and it might chill them in the way that old genre television used to when it told these kinds of stories. This looks like absolutely perfect Doctor Who territory to mine. My only concern is that just the same concern I had last week, Charlotte, in that all of this is too little. It's just too little, too late for anybody to be paying attention. We shall see. I suppose we shall see.
Well, yeah, and I think for me, the sort of two things that I think they need to prove here is they've had a really bad run of villains and sort of villainous forces. If they're not a person, and this looks, just off the look of it, like this could be quite a scary, quite
Got
a
potential.
powerful foe. So if this can be and creepy as well, that's what I've missed in Doctor Who, a real creep factor in a villain. And also, Ncuti needs to have a hero moment. His Doctor desperately needs sort of, I'm the Doctor and I saved the day. Because last week it was pretty much Belinda that did most of the sort of
Yeah,
resolution.
I don't mind that. It's like when Rose kind of saves the Doctor in Rose, with the Auton. I don't mind that for a first episode, but the Doctor, and I like the fact that we see him running around here and he's holding her hand and taking her to safety while she's looking on. That's the Doctor. But there's more to heroism than being able to run fast, isn't there, Charlotte?
Yeah, and here's the thing, I'm like you, now and again, of course, in New Who, the companions have been the saviours and they have been sort of the driving force. But I feel like in his first series, he didn't have a lot of good saving the day moments.
No.
So he needs some in this series, and this week, let's see if they can do it. Because last week, for me personally, it was pretty much Belinda. So I'm hoping with it not being as much of a character focus for her this time, there's space. If it's done, let's see if Russell can pull it off.
Looks like it's the two of them sort of against the force of this giant sort of cartoon. It reminds me a little, Gary, of shows like Sapphire and Steel, which were in confined spaces, low, if any, lighting at all. If there were any other characters in it, they'd always look a bit iffy, And we've got Linus Roach is the guest star in this one. Fabulous actor, Linus Roach. He was Batman's dad in the Christopher Nolan trilogy, wasn't he? He was in those.
Okay.
Yeah, played Thomas Wayne in that. And his dad is William Roach, forever Ken Barlow in Coronation Street in Britain. But he's a fabulous actor in his own right, Linus Roach. It's great to finally have him in Doctor Who. I think he might have even auditioned for the part.
Yeah,
when it was
I was going to say, he looks quite doctorish there.
Yeah, he'd have been.
I wonder if he's going to be like some kind of projectionist, maybe some kind of.
He looks that way.
I do want to say that. I mean, I adore Sapphire and Steel. You're exactly right, Dan. The fact that they could push it to the limit on scares and the creep factor with like minimal sets and minimal actors. One of the stories where the villain was the man with no face in the photograph, that was terrifying. But it was just like minimal. They did so much with so little.
Yeah. Aliven's Flame wonders, will Mrs. Flood be in the episode? Yes, she will. We're promised a pivotal scene with Mrs. Flood.
I think she's in the theatre. I think she's like watching something.
A punter.
Well, I think the gimmick is she's in every episode. She's got
That's
some
what
sort
Dan
of...
said.
Oh, gee, where have we? That's new.
She's a punter at 4 a.m. The only cinemas I know that were open at 4 a.m. before 1990 only showed a certain kind of movie, if you know what I mean. So I don't think she'd be there to watch any of those. And Matthew Pounder's watching Sapphire and Steel for the very first time. Gripping series. Oh, congratulations, mate. Yeah, first saw that when it was on. It was 79, 1980, something like that. I was way too young to be watching it. Scared the life out.
Yeah, 79 to 82.
Big T is in the live chat. Hi, Tony Farrell. Greetings and salutations, one and all, from the Big T himself. Excellent stuff, mate. Excellent stuff. Good to have you aboard. What else is here? What do you mean, Dan? Says Claude Thoth. I'll email you later.
use your imagination, Lord Thoth.
There are
Get
other
dirty
mysteries.
imagination.
There are other mysteries which we may get the odd nugget about as the episodes move on. The episode last week finished, didn't it, with bits of Earth landmarks detached, crumbling and floating in space a London taxi, the Statue of Liberty, the Eiffel Tower, all those usual things that you always see in disaster movies and things like that. And really on the nose sort of calendar there. I mean, it's, at the end of the day, it's a family show, isn't it? It's maybe old hat to us, but if you are an 8 to 11-year-old, this could be the first time you've seen something like this. So, yeah, I'm not angry at them about that. But I do wonder if there's not too many mysteries going on, Charlotte. You've got this mystery, you've got the time bumper mystery, you've got possibly a long arc with Belinda herself. Then you've got Mrs. Flood too. Then you've got the mystery of, is Ncuti Gatwa actually going to be any good in this role anytime soon? So there's just too much uncertainty in this for me. Particularly if it's all going to wrap up in 7 weeks. My hopes are fading by the week. But all I can really hope is that I enjoy it on a kind of week-to-week basis on some level at this point.
I think you can overdo your mystery boxes and your what's going to happen sort of vibe. And also, last year, Russell had too much on his plate and couldn't do it all well. It feels, I agree with you, he's slightly overburdening himself again, especially like I said, he's not got 13 episodes anymore, he's got 8. So it's going to have to be really sharp writing to pull all that off.
And the way that he's going, I think 8 could be the amount that the viewing figures drop to as things are going. the way things are going, I don't say that with any relish, despite my my laughing. Yeah, it really is that bad, everybody. And up against Britain's Got Talent as well. The audience for Britain's Got Talent has shrunk. They're having a hard time as well, but they're not having it as hard as Doctor Who. And the simple fact of the matter is that British families, British parents know that if they put their kids down in front of the telly and Britain's Got Talent is on, they know that it's absolutely appropriate for them to see it. They haven't got that guarantee with Doctor Who anymore, so I know which choice I would go with, and I don't even like Britain's Got Talent. Get Her Home is the mission statement for season 2 of Doctor Who, continuing every Saturday for the next 7 weeks. Can he get her home? Well, we better hope so, hadn't we? That's 7:15 p.m. this time on BBC One, or you can stream it on the Disney Plus app globally and iPlayer in Britain from 8 a.m. in the morning. I do. Obviously, Disney Plus never publish any figures, do they, Charlotte? Which drives Doctor Who fans completely round the bend. They take it personally. But maybe it's best that we don't know, because we probably obsess about those figures just the same.
Yeah, I think the closest we can do is like they do like top 10 of the week, that like what's being viewed. And from what I understand, if people know better, correct me, that it wasn't in the top 10 that episode last week.
I never saw.
So
I couldn't say.
We'll have to see. At the end, they tend to do like a roundup, sort of roughly telling us how it did.
We shall see. We shall see. Matt, given your love of animation, you're not tempted by this one, even on a technical level?
I am. But, I quit Disney Plus, so I'm not even going to glance at it. And to be honest, I feel that the damage has been done, and I'd rather just pretend it doesn't exist anymore, to be honest. And it's horrible to say, but it's just breaking my heart every time I watch it now. So, no.
I understand. You'll never get any grief from that over us, mate. Everybody's got their lines in the sand.
If they keep their feet on the ground and actually don't preach in one episode, then this could potentially be probably one of the better episodes. You could make it good, but Russell just can't help himself.
Give us a thriller and a chiller. That's pretty much all we need at this moment.
Yeah.
Show us some real Doctor Who.
Straight science fiction.
Yeah. I think that we've got something a bit more dependable coming right up now, because it's golden faces and golden voices from Doctor Who's long and distinguished past here now. Our legends flogging us all manner of everyday household tat from back in the pre-Amazon days. In the Type 40 Live Doctor Who ad break. Enjoy the ads and we'll see you back here in a couple of minutes.
Haven't you gone yet?
Are you trying to get rid of me?
No, of course not.
You're up to something. I can tell. Come on, out with it.
I'm making a Nescafe commercial.
On your own? But we always do them together.
Not this one, Richard.
Why not?
It's about those precious moments when everyone's gone out for the day, and I can enjoy my Nescafe in peace.
Oh, can't we both enjoy it?
No.
Nescafe. Coffee at its best. Couldn't I just stay for the bean shake?
Take the challenge to create the ultimate sonic screwdriver. This amazing set includes 3 sonic screwdrivers. Mix and match the sections with over 80 combinations, including multiple lights and sound effects. Have hours of fun with the Doctor Who personalized your sonic screwdriver set.
From character.
Please, play one last game. For the car.
Not the Toyota.
There aren't many of them on the road. And it's very fast.
Tell you it runs on 2-star petrol.
Stephanie, Guillermo, το παιδί που έχασα.
Papa?
Welcome back to your Type 40 Live here, covering the future, the present, and the past of all things Doctor Who, setting you up for the weekend. Another new episode of Doctor Who coming your way with a big hoo-ha here. The panel are back, I think, present and correct as they're ever going to be. And is everything where it should be? Everything's rolling. It looks like it. We've got somebody dependable there manning the cameras. Okay, check back in. What's going on? Is everybody back? Is everybody sorted? It's a stroke of genius. The Type 45 Doctor Who ad break, the saviour of any podcaster and content creator out there. Okay, we've got some more comments here in the live chat. Mush is there and says, Dan loves these commercials with Doctor Who actors in them. I wonder if he will show the Tom Baker one advertising the Prime computer. Well, there was 3 or 4 of those and we've shown them all multiple times. So if you wait and watch long enough, it'll come around again.
Those are with that's ones with Lala Ward, right? Those ones, yeah.
Every time I hear Richard Bryars, I just think of Noddy. Growing up and watching Noddy, because he used to do the narration for Noddy.
He used to do Rhubarb and Custard. Did you Noddy as well?
Yeah, no, he did the narration for the original animation for Noddy. Yep, stop motion.
That must have passed me by. Matt, must have passed me by.
Well, yes, that was a long time ago. That was before Noddy got cancelled, so they had to redo them all. But yeah, he was always the voice of Noddy for me.
Stephen's asking about the advert there with Colin Baker in it, and the guy with the cigar. He was in the 10th Planet. He was also the bloke who gets absolutely wrecked in that episode of Fawlty Towers and falls in love with Manuel. If you remember, if you any comedy fans out there, you might recognize
the drunk chef.
That's right.
That's right.
Matthew Pounder hadn't seen any of these. Well, now you have. Right, now you have. And the Zero Room loves the commercials. Yes, the Type 40 Live ad break, our long-time favourite feature of everybody here. We've seen them all multiple times. Now and again, new ones do pop up, though, I'm happy to say. Grey Fears says the Colin Baker is a new one I've never seen. Yeah, that's from the mid-70s, that one. Yes, Dan the Love Struck Chef. That's quite right. Oh, yes, there's more where that came from. Of course, there is. We're finding new ads all the time. So that's worth sticking around for, if nothing else. We've got lots to get into, lots to cover, and a special tribute right now. I'm just trying to think which video could be appropriate. Okay, so some actors and actresses who depart Doctor Who after a stint would suggest that the series can prove difficult to escape once they've left. A lot of them tried not to talk about it, didn't they? They didn't give their time in the TARDIS much thought. But then there was Jean Marsh. Jean Marsh's career didn't start with Doctor Who, and it didn't end there either. She had an enviable, busy career full of very interesting parts and projects that we'll likely only really scratch the surface of here on this Type 40. She's chiefly remembered by the British public as Rose in Upstairs, Downstairs. That was a massively popular drama that she co-devised back in the early 70s. But she remained a constant presence in film and TV pretty much throughout her life, both here in Britain and in America. To us, obviously, we know the face. We know the voice. She's very, very distinctive, but she could sort of disappear into these parts in classic movies, such as The Eagle Has Landed there, or again, Upstairs, Downstairs, gets repeated even now on cable television all the time. When it comes to Doctor Who, though, she's instantly recognisable, even if we're not quite sure where from, because she appeared so often, didn't she? In the lifespan of the show, she bookended the classic series opposite the first and the seventh Doctors. And you'd think she'd been there for longer. We see these pictures so frequently. And then there was that longer stint as Sarah Kingdom, the space agent in 12-part epic adventure, The Dalek Master Plan. Jean Marsh, the prolific veteran character actress and award-winning writer, passed away just a few days ago at the age of 90. Gary, as an Anglophile, the name Jean Marsh, is this a name that you recognise from credits of various things, not just Doctor Who? And is it strange that somebody who could only appear in a smattering of stories and episodes like that, still, and with such a massive career, still be entrenched in the Whoniverse in the way that she is?
Well, as far as Jean Marsh in general, I know that, again, when I was we taught when Upstairs, Downstairs would be like rerun on PBS, that she was always heavy, like in the TV guides, the pictures, the promotions, even though I didn't watch it. I actually saw her she hosted, at least, I don't know if this was internationally or just in the US, it was on the same night that they showed Doctor Who. She hosted this half hour of like international animation where she would come on and she would host these little like 4 or 5 minutes, I guess, like award-winning little animation videos from either professionals or fans or whatever. And, it had its own theme tune and everything. And so that's where I got to know her, is she would host this animation show right after Doctor Who. But as far as Doctor Who's concerned, I actually do think that it's her, especially since we didn't see any of the Crusade Forever, even single episodes. I think it was her appearance as Sarah Kingdom, who I actually do consider was a companion. I mean, she traveled multi-episodes with the Doctor and Stephen. She wasn't just a one-episode passenger. So I think she was a companion. And in the like, if you see the reconstructions or listen to the audio, or especially see the screen grabs of the final episode of that story, it is horrific, and I'm sure was traumatizing and memorable about Sarah Kingdom's fate. So I think that does lock her in the memories of Doctor Who fans.
You're muted, Dan.
You're muted again.
Okay.
Now he's back.
It's easy to forget. It keeps doing that. I don't know why. It's easy to forget now when everything's streaming and everything's on physical media that a lot of this stuff was locked in the archive for literally decades. So all we'd got were black and white pictures in Doctor Who Weekly or Doctor Who Monthly, and we're just told about these characters. We read little paragraphs here and there about them.
Yeah.
And even the actors, they become, we know that, Jean Marsh played Sarah Kingdom. We couldn't see them. We couldn't see the episodes. So it's like the old fan myths, I suppose, about, the Gunfighters was the worst story because fewer people watched it than everything else. All that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But obviously since the 90s, the stuff being more available, The Crusade is definitely a favourite of mine. I thought she was wonderful as Joanna in that. Mm-hmm. And now whenever I see just images of her like this, a striking looking woman. And she did some modeling as well. Nothing sort of particularly glamorous. A lot of it was sort of fashion and for fashion catalogs and things like that, rather than catwalks or anything of that nature, and photography and that kind of thing. But even this looks like a performance, because obviously we're looking at the 60s, which was such an exciting and explosive time. So anybody who's got that kind of distinctive look, and I wouldn't describe her as particularly masculine, but she kind of looks, when you look into her eyes, she does seem like she's older than her years. Obviously, as her career went on, the parts that she got, Charlotte, got more and more interesting, and as she sort of grew in to her own sort of her character.
Yeah, like in that picture, there's a real haunting feeling. Like you said, for me, it's not so much of an age thing. It's sort of this idea of almost like otherworldly. Like she just sort of, in the best way, she didn't feel human sometimes on screen. Like almost like she was a ghost or some sort of entity which was just appeared in that instant, and if you turned away she would disappear. Like that's the quality. The first thing I ever saw,
it's a sort of spectral presence that she has, even in the episodes of Dalek Masterplan that exist. If you watch the reconstructions or Ian Levine's AI versions of them, it's a similar sort of thing. The character of Sarah Kingdom is very enigmatic anyway. And so to put somebody with her kind of look, giving that kind of slightly distant performance, and then have them sort of depart in a vapor in the way that Gary describes, it's only added to the mystery of the character, Charlotte.
Yeah, and like before in Classic, there was actors that they'd use again and again because they knew they could trust them and they would give such a stark performance. But I think it's so telling that throughout so many parts of Classic, she came back. It wasn't just, like you said, for one doctor. It was for multiple doctors. And every performance was different. Like, they weren't the same characters. Even if on the surface you might have gone, oh, there's some link. But it was, like, a different energy. And the first thing I ever saw was Battlefield with her.
All three characters, I would argue, are quite layered. At first glance, they seem quite superficial. I mean, the character of Joanna would seem to be kind of window dressing in a historical drama, but she has to sell some, it's not explicit, the themes of it, but the nature of the relationships in that, just kind of under the surface. And she doesn't spell things out in there, but the character is conflicted, shall we say. She's not whiter than white herself. And if they'd have given it to a lesser actress, or I hate to say it this way, a prettier actress, who it wouldn't have worked. But because she was so enigmatic and a character actress from the get-go, she could bring all of that through when there's not that much dialogue there.
Yeah, she was very good at sort of getting the script and making it come alive. And even, like I said, with Battlefield for me, there's lots of bits of that story which I think if it wasn't certain people on screen, you wouldn't be able to believe it, and it would just be like almost pantomime sort of vibe. And even like who she plays, that even though she plays the villain, in the time she's cackling a bit, you still sort of get that vibe that, God, I wouldn't want to mess with her. Like, I do, like, she's going to be a real sort of ancient power. And that's what you needed to sort of sell all the Arthurian, all the Merlin, everything that was, like, trying to sort of be a big part of that
Well, this was the most miraculous thing of all, I think, Charlotte, because this character was, on the page, I suspect, pretty much pure pantomime.
Oh, yeah.
But you can see her just injecting it with something else. They gave it to exactly the right person. I hate to say it. Oh God, I'm going to upset the McCoy fans for a second week running. In many respects, by this point in the career, it did kind of feel like G. Marsh was slumming it, appearing in the show, even though the fortunes of Doctor Who creatively at this point were on the up. It really was at the bottom of the heap in terms of popularity.
I remember being quite confused because this came out the same time as when Willow came out, and she was in that, and she was also playing a witch in that as well. and I just and it was literally the same character. So it was like I just remember I mean, I was probably about 14 then, but I was just so confused that about this. And she was also in another one. She had this repertoire, but like when she was playing an evil witch, she played the same character as an evil witch. Yeah. So in Return to Oz as well, she was in that as well, and she was also a witch in that. So even though
she's technically an evil princess in this and an evil witch in the other, but the performance is exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly. And she takes off her head in these ones too. But it's but when you look at her other work as well, where she plays a housemaid, it's a totally different way of acting, and she doesn't seem nasty or anything like that. And it's she's got a bit of a sting to her, but she's just good at what she does, which is acting. It like you say, she is a character actress. So if you want it, if you think of a witch, hey, let's get Jean Marsh, or whatever.
I think if I was looking for an actress who was the female equivalent of a Tom Baker, I don't think I'd have to look very. I think if I was to create a short list of 4 or 5, Jean Marsh would have probably been on there.
What's crazy is that there's not that many British actresses that actually did make it in both the UK and America, even though a lot of these were produced in the UK as well. You got to remember, she was in Twilight Zone when it was still in black and white, and that was massive back in the day. So she's been through it all.
Her genre credentials are very thorough, but then again, so was the stuff that was pretty conventional. She was in a sitcom spin-off from the film 9 to 5. Gary, I only found that out when I was researching this.
Yeah.
There was a sitcom of 9 to 5. I didn't even know.
Yeah, there was. There was.
Roz.
Wow. Okay.
And there was, and at the same time that she was playing Morgaine in Battlefield, or not long after, she was also playing Morgana, like from the same or Arthurian stories, in an American TV movie called what was it called? A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court, which starred one of the girls who was in the Cosby Show, Keisha Knight Pullum, if that name rings a bell.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she was one of the daughters in the Cosby Show. Well,
she was the youngest.
The Connecticut Yankee, that was also, Merlin. If you've read the original story or even seen the old, Bing Crosby version, that's like Merlin. So it's the Morgana and the Morgaine that she did in Battlefield. They're essentially the same character. It's King Arthur's sister, who was a witch who tried to have her son, manipulated into the throne. So I think that those two sounds like they might have been the kind of same characters.
She looks like she's having so much fun here, despite the dead eyes.
Well, yeah, that's the thing with now, like the Arthur myth and the Arthur legend. Names have been sort of morphed and changed throughout time. So yeah, Morgana's got lots of different names, but it's basically Morgana.
Yeah.
But what I think she did really well, though, and you have to do this if you're playing a Morgana convincingly, you have to convey that you think you are in the right, that you're the one that's been wronged, that you deserve power, and that's the whole point of the Morgana character, if you look back in the legends. And that's not an easy thing to do while you're also cackling like a mad woman, having some of those themes she got in Battlefield. That I bought her conviction as, this is my throne. This it's like why should an idiot king? Why should this boy, who's in the legends came from nothing, was basically a peasant? Why should he get the crown when it's mine? Like, that's the essence of the character. And that's not, like I said, it's not easy to do. And she really convinced me. Like I said in a story, that in some bits I was like, what on earth am I watching?
The one element that I
With
thought
relish.
that she did really well, to Charlotte's point, is that even though she wanted to, as legend goes, depose Arthur, put her son Modred on the throne, she still loved Arthur. And the scene in Battlefield where she realizes that he's dead and she is sorry, she's full of grief that Arthur's dead. I thought that was a good scene. She played that well.
And it's quite a handbrake turn as well, isn't it? Isn't it, Gary? Really, because it's not that well. It's not very well written when it comes to the crunch. Sorry, McCoy fans, might that be the final straw. It's not very well written, and I quite like that story, but it's not very well written at all. And yet she sells it. It's all of the responsibility for selling a Sonic goes on G. Marsh.
Yeah,
and she does it. She convinces us of that situation, of that gambit.
Well, I mean, and I think that's probably what good actors do. And Jean Marsh probably had throughout her career a lot of scripts that probably weren't the best and that she knew it, but good actors will find the kernel of truth for their character to kind of hold on to and play that even throughout scripts that might be not optimal. And that's what I think she did here, because I mean, she could have gone full on, 60s Batman and gone over the top and, played it, as this like wild, melodramatic witch, but she kept it grounded for the most part. Yeah.
I mean, speaking of the 60s Batman show, it's one of the very few things that she wasn't in. She was in the Twilight Zone, just as you said, Matt, a very early episode from the late 50s, I think this was. I remember watching this on cable television and thinking, no, is that G. Marsh? It can't be. Because back when I first saw episodes of the Twilight Zone, I was still of the belief that sort of British actors appeared in British shows, American actors stuck to American shows, and never the twain shall meet. And there she was.
I mean, I was quite shocked that Roger Moore was in a show in the in the late 1950s in America. Black and white show. So it was
Maverick.
The Alaskans.
Yeah. Oh, the Alaskans.
Yeah. It's funny she mentioned Roger Moore. She appeared with him twice, Matt. Once in The Saint. There they were very good friends. And then again, a few years later, in The Persuaders, in Sparkling Colour, this time with smoking. Well, I think she has been smoking that cigarette. Doesn't look very happy with Roger in that one. But just two instances of big shows that she appeared in. UFO as well. There she is in Jerry Anderson's UFO in 1970 with the bloke from The Dominators on the right and the guy from Remembrance of the Daleks on the left.
At least they didn't put her in a purple wig.
Not that time. They did whack her in a terrible wig when she appeared in The Tomorrow People in the early 90s. There, I mean, that's really bad. Where she played Dr. Kulex in the relaunched, the original relaunched Tomorrow People. There was 3 versions of that. She was in the second. But then again, so was Christopher Lee. So they got a lot of good people in that, and she plays largely the same character, but it's very much it's set in the 20th century, and she's in a lab coat. I thought that was a wig. I think that might actually be her real hair. It just it just looks like a wig, but it's all very silly, very cartoonish. But yet again, she dives in and sells it, and it's tremendous fun. If you've never seen that show, and these are just the genre bits. There's lots else as well. So much in this woman's career.
Yeah, I mean, she's done a vast range of things, even in doing non-speaking roles as well. She played a chorus girl in one of her first movies where she met her first husband. So, and she was 19, and she is credited in the thing, but she doesn't have a speaking role. So, it's really interesting. A complete gamut of what she's done. Is just what an absolute legacy of history.
Here she is as a young starlet there, leaving a car. I mean, can you get more? We were talking about this earlier on when we talked about looks and all those and old glamour, I suppose, and the cars and the fashions and even the buildings having a certain look. And she looks like she belongs in every era. But there she was. And you're quite right. It was around the time that she met her future husband, of course, John Pertwee, the Doctor Who actor, John Pertwee, as I'm sure people will be chomping at the bit to remind us of there in the live chat. She was married to the third Doctor, believe it or not. This was from 1955, I think it was, through to 1960, 5 years. But she married him when she was only 18, very, very young. And he was much older. I think he was in his mid-30s, maybe 40, around that time. It's strange to see these pictures because since I think the internet has kind of brought a lot of these things to light, Charlotte. But I mean, don't they both look beautiful and happy? And in this picture from 70 years ago?
Wow. Yeah, and it's like I said, even when she's older though, for me, the face hardly changes. Like obviously age gets it, but there, like the eyes and that sort of look, she just kept throughout all of her time. And I think before it just speaks to a lot of, she's clearly an actress who just loved her craft and loved doing roles, and didn't matter to her what kind of role, whether it was a big or small. And it's just great to see that era of actresses to sort of just, like I said, do the gambit, do everything and anything.
These last few. I'm sorry, but I was just going to say quickly, these last few black and white pictures, Dan, I mean, she really very similar to Audrey Hepburn. I look at these pictures and the picture of her getting out of her car. I mean, I can see it. She looks to me like she has that Audrey Hepburn look.
Definitely.
It's the big eyebrows, isn't it? It's you know, it's funny because, you know, the first movie that she was with John Pertwee was called Will Any Gentleman, and that's actually 2 years before they got married. So, you know, they had a long courtship. Apparently, it's actually in the documentary, so I'm not telling tales out of school. But the documentary for the movie is that the story goes that she literally broke his heart. She was quite promiscuous, I guess is what you could say. So that's the reason why it didn't last. But of course, back then, I mean, he would have been in his mid-30s as he was. So back then, you know, that's what they did. The women married older men. They did because it was sustainable, and obviously, you know, and just, you know, as a normal way of life, really.
We've got some quotes. Neither of them spoke about it very much. It was difficult for them. I think in what we do know, the upshot of it was that Pertwee wanted to have children and G. Marsh didn't. She wanted to have her career, didn't want to have kids. And that's a pretty big...
And it worked out for her. It did work out for her.
And for John Pertwee as well. He would marry again only a few years after his divorce and go on to raise a family with his wife Ingeborg, and yeah, everybody seems
I mean,
the
the thing is, he does actually speak fondly of Jean Marsh. He's like, oh yes, my ex-wife Jean Marsh, you know, in a lot of interviews. So, you know, there's no real hatred towards that, because obviously, you know, he was quite proud of the fact that you know, she'd had her career as well. So, you know, I don't think there was any animosity there.
She said here, I was married and divorced before 21. He was much older. I grew up in the marriage. That's Jean Marsh on her marriage to John Pertwee. She hasn't said much, but what she has said is generous and, just as you say, and spirited, and some of it quite humorous. We've got another quote here. She says, my father always said to me, you must learn to cook. And I said, I don't have to. I'm going to marry a rich man and he'll have a cook. Well, when I was 18 years old, I did marry a rich man and he did have a cook. But the day after we were married, he fired her. Don't say based. Don't say based. Don't say based. So that's G. Marsh and John Pertwee there. I would imagine that a lot of people have a lot of memories of G. Marsh's work, not just on Doctor Who, but on other things in the live chat. So let's go and see what everybody else has got to say about Jean here. The Zero Room says she does look gorgeous in that picture. Which one? She was a striking looking woman. I think he may mean, do you mean this one or was it any of the other
Yeah,
ones where
that
she
was
looks
the-
absolutely stunning? I don't know. You take your pick. Very elfin looking. There's Anthony Parkinson. Peter Jackson would have cast her in Lord of the Rings. maybe.
Interesting.
And Peter Harrington rightly says that film, Will-Ellie Gentleman, that's the one
It
we've
does.
spoken about several times because it features William Hartnell as well, doesn't it, Matt? You say that film's available on Blu-ray now?
Yeah, I've got it right here in front of me if you want to thing.
have to-
It stars
pick it
George
up.
Cole, Sid James, Joan Sims. It's a very early. It's actually one of the very earliest color ones, 1953. So it's and it's got like I said, it's got a great documentary on here too. So about
I'll
the
pick
making
that
of the film. So yeah, because there's just not nobody around now that actually, except for a few people that work behind the scenes. There's no real, not a lot of stars. But yeah, it's a really interesting. I was totally transfixed. The movie is boring as
It's not
meat.
great, is it?
It's not the greatest film in the world, but like I said, it's one of the earliest color ones. So they're obviously wanting to show off the color.
Enjoy the
it's about
beauty of the production and the novelty of seeing the people that we see in it playing the roles they're playing.
John Pertwee plays a brother to George Cole, and he gets hypnotized. George Cole gets hypnotized to make himself more braver, and unfortunately, it sort of goes awry from there. So yeah, it's not the greatest film in the world, but yeah, it's an interesting little factoid back in the history books, And it's great to see William Hartnell and John Pertwee working together. It's weird.
G. Marsh was pure class, according to Stephen Braddock, and lots of people have chimed in on her resemblance to Audrey Hepburn, including Peter Harrington there in the live chat. So a doctor did marry a companion, says Stephen Braddock. Yeah, well, there's Tom and Lala as well, wasn't there? Several doctors and companions have had entanglements, shall we say, but I'm sworn to secrecy. Some of that. The last screen appearance I can remember was her cameo in an adventure in space and time. Yes, she was. Is it a cameo in that? I suppose it is a cameo if you don't speak.
She was
there
doing?
along with a
She
lot
was
of
in the
other
party. Yeah, she was at the party.
So it's not a speaking role.
There she's. I don't think she could speak if that's real wine in that glass. They could have done several takes.
I mean, I do want to say that
I'm
so glad that the season 2 collection is out, because you can see 2 episodes of her as Joanna in The Crusade. And Dan, you were right when you were talking about her character before, because I think she played, we had Barbara, but I think as one of the guest characters, I think she played one of the really strongest female guest characters in early Who. I mean, she's great in that story. I mean, she does not want to be this political pawn to be married off in order to secure this peace treaty. She has great scenes with Hartnell, and you're right, she's really, really good in that story. And then I keep thinking about, the Daleks' master plan. She was in 9 of those 12 episodes. So if you think about it, back in the days when nobody knew how long a story would run or what the next story would be, it was basically you lived in the moment and you went week by week on this series. So for the British public and British children watching this story, living with this character for 9 weeks, there's absolutely no reason to think that she's not going to be just as long-lived as a companion as Barbara. Especially since, they just lost Katerina in this same story. You think, well, okay, then here's this new character, this new companion. And the fact that at the end of this story, when her character gets caught in the waves of the time destructor and before our eyes ages to death in what I think is a really graphic and horrific scene, worse than, more traumatic than Adric, arguably. And I don't say that as a joke, because for a lot of people, losing Adric was a shock to the young fans. But this is beyond traumatizing for a character that children had every reason to believe was going to be
Stick
an
around.
ongoing character. And so I think this is one of the first real true shocks in early Doctor Who, was this sequence.
The Time Destructor got her in the end, Charlotte.
Yeah, and I've always thought certain scenes in Troughton and Bill's first in their runs, they're so much more creepy because it's black and white. I think this having that filter really just added to that horror, because it's pure horror. Like, look at his face in that second picture. Like, that's a scream, that's terror, that's nothing. That's sort of this human instinct of, I'm going to die, so I'm gonna scream and show that every bit of pain on my face. And
that's a different actress, though, isn't it? Down below.
Apparently not.
They got an older actress to play.
Apparently, this was the very first material she ever recorded as well, because they shot it on film at Elstree rather than at where did they were at Riverside making Doctor Who around this time, weren't they? So they shot this on film in another facility. So this was the first material she ever shot working on the story. So she always knew that she was going to go. So yeah, she doesn't hold a grudge though. She didn't hold a grudge. Which I don't think she did. She's catching up with the Daleks years and years later. This great picture from P. Bell official on X. Yes, she did become a part of the Doctor Who community, particularly in her later years, signings and audios and all that stuff. So I think she enjoyed the fun of being part of this, I think. It seems like G. Marsh was a very modern woman during a somewhat antiquated time, says Chris from Black Glove Studios. I don't know. I think I think if anything, she was sort of timeless, really. It's the impression that I get, that she might have been older than her years.
I think he's talking about the idea of putting her career first.
Oh, I see.
And I think back then that probably would have been not the norm for actresses as much. I'm not saying every actress wouldn't have had those opportunities, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was seen a bit of a, oh, so you don't want to settle down and have kids.
Obviously, we say this all the time. The Doctor Who community is very much a family. The people on screen, as well as us out here in the fandom, we're all part of that. It's like an ecosystem, isn't it, Charlotte? You know, and you see pictures of G. Marsh at various events. The fact that she was in an adventure in space and time is a corner of it. But you see her at events and things like that with real people signing things. And again, she was a great actress, but you can't fake joy. I think we've all seen pictures of actors who look like they'd rather be somewhere else. But see, these are pictures of a 70, 80-year-old woman just being showered with love for people who love this character or the set of characters that she played decades and decades ago.
Yeah, I think, especially, I must think for actors of her age, and I'm not having a slight at all, the whole idea of conventions and the fact that you could play a part and then years and years later, people would be there with a sign-in book saying, can you sign? Because I've seen you in one episode, or I've seen you in one scene. Obviously, it's a bit more like with her. But it's this idea of, it's like with Doctor Who fans, like we see these people on screen and they make that lifelong impression on us, that if we could get that chance to meet them, it doesn't matter what age, they were that character and that's what means the world. But of course, because of the amount of stuff she did play, she probably had an even extra factor than other actors from Classic Who.
Apparently she didn't really remember much about her role in the Crusade, because I suppose it was so early in her career. Gary, 60-odd years ago, would you remember very well something you spent a couple of days on for 3 weeks 60 years ago? You probably wouldn't, would you?
Well,
But
I mean,
people still asked about it.
especially as you've said, I mean, if you look at her television and film CV, I would imagine back in the day, you know, when you finish one role, you're probably maybe the next week going on to your next film, whatever. It's not necessarily an assembly line, but I mean, if you're just doing so many that you've lost count, then I imagine it would be hard 40, 50 years later to remember something that you did for a month or a few weeks back then.
Enigmatic, striking as well. G. Marsh there. Later on in her career, when she was still acting, I think when she was working on the relaunch of Upstairs Downstairs, she did suffer a stroke, and that did put her out of action for a little while, but not for long. She was back working on the show really quite quickly after that. And this is a major relaunch of the classic drama series, a kind of an update, really, picking the story up with the same characters. I think it was literally 30 years on. Alex Kingston was in the cast for the restart, the reboot, if you like, of Upstairs Downstairs. A great series too. I think it only ran for a couple of years in the end, but I like that. And I hadn't even seen the original at that point. But it's all of it is fabulous stuff. I can't recommend enough seeking her out in anything, really, whether it's the movies or the TV stuff. And I've got the box set of the original series of Upstairs Downstairs sort of waiting for me to. I picked it up at a car boot sale, Gary, believe it or not.
Oh, wonderful!
It was very, very, very cheap. But I thought, well, it's one of those where you think, well, it only cost me a couple of pounds. I might not like it.
Weren't there
if I do like it?
Weren't there like 600 episodes of this series though? I'm not sure.
I'm afraid there were. It was co-devising that with Dame Eileen Atkins. That was undoubtedly what propelled her in terms of bankability, because from that she wrote other things. She created the House of Elliot 20 years later or so. And she stayed a creative force in that respect as well as a kind of screen icon of sorts. She was awarded an OBE in 2012 in the Birthdays Honours List, and there she is with the late Queen receiving. It's both of them no longer with us now. Wow. But she looks very proud, doesn't she? It's a fabulous picture in an album full, a life full of fabulous pictures that make up this corner, the public life of Jean Marsh. I think she was relatively private, kept herself to herself. People do talk about their friendships with her, but I think she was old talent in that she knew, I think, that a lot of the power in a lot of these roles came from the fact that we didn't really know that much about her, the mystique.
Yeah, that you could just disappear into a role. I think that sort of art has sort of sadly been lost now. I think some actors still bring it and like have that spirit alive, but I think a lot of actors want you to know them as well as the parts they play, and there's a real wisdom to being able to just be a chameleon. It's why
know my story, know my values, and all that kind of thing.
It's why people love Gary Oldman, because you forget it's Gary Oldman on screen a lot of the time. He's the character.
Final thoughts about Jean Marsh, Matt? I mean, she carried on playing Sarah Kingdom in Big Finish decades later, picking up the character, and they didn't do a lot of stuff with. There was like a trilogy of stories about her ghost being trapped between dimensions, quite inventive stories, and she seemed to have a lot of fun recreating the role.
I was a bit annoyed that she wasn't in the Willow remake that they did, the TV series that they did. I was like, she's still alive, you could use her, They didn't do it, so I was like, so I think the last thing she did was like probably a decade ago now, wouldn't it be, Dan? She didn't do anything recent.
It might have actually been that cameo in An Adventure in Space and Time, but her last proper role may even have been the Upstairs Downstairs restart.
Yeah, which would have ended around the same time. So,
could be wrong.
Yeah, it's just it's maybe she just retired, and I mean, she'd had a long career, and you've got to have a bit of time to yourself, and I'm sure she had lots of hobbies and that she enjoyed. So what a full life, and she's sadly missed, because I've never ever. I think I've seen the lost episode, the episode they found of the master plan, but she's not much in that anyway. So. unfortunately, like so many of them, where the main actor's not there. So, it's that's one that I'm hoping they will actually eventually release in an animated form, so I can actually enjoy her. I've still not seen The Crusade either, so the only one I've really experienced her in Doctor Who is Battlefield. So, and even then I was confused because, like I said, with her being in Willow, it was a bit strange because I thought, gee, she must be the go-to for witches. I don't know. But what a great actress. And I was when I remember watching this movie, Will Any Gentleman, and I was thinking, oh wow, I've got to go back and see it because she doesn't have a speaking role. She's literally on stage. So I found they actually had background photos of her as well. So I was like, I did like her as an actress. So, it's just sad that, it's got to be, there's always an end.
I think the one I'm going to go back to is probably The Eagle Has Landed, Gary, because I'd forgotten that she was in it. And I've got that on, I haven't got a Blu-ray, but I've certainly got a DVD. I haven't watched it in years and years and years. Larry Hagman's in it and Michael Caine's in it and all these other people that I like. And yes, I think I'll probably go and watch that and raise a glass.
That's
as
one of my
someone
favorite.
Pointed out, she's in The Changeling as well, and I was like, "Oh, I've got that." I
Roy
might
Schneider
watch that
movie.
again.
Roy Schneider?
No, the George C.
The
Scott
Canadian one.
George
Yeah,
C.
that's
Scott.
that one. It's very good. It's very
It's
good.
a really
Dan, if you've never
good
seen it.
1980 creepy ghost story.
Yeah,
good movie.
I must have seen it. We've got a comment here from Chris here in the live chat again, who says, "My friend Simon Gurrier, who wrote the Big Finish Companion Chronicle stories, really speaks highly of Jean from the recordings. Exemplary conduct and professionalism throughout. Rest in peace, Jean Marsh. You will be missed." So there's a few of those in the live chat as well. In the Dalek Outer Space book in the 1960s, Sarah Kingdom featured throughout. Yeah,
that's right.
I've not actually got that myself, but I think I've seen some of the strips that have been collected somewhere. Darren Bradley also mentions the 60s Dalek annuals containing Sarah Kingdom stories and comic strips. Could it have been in preparation for the proposed US Daleks series? I think that character was planned to sort of cross over, wasn't she?
Yeah, I think in the unfilmed pilot script, obviously that didn't sell. I think Sarah Kingdom was the main character.
There we go. Ahoy, says Fly Holland. Ahoy, ahoy, indeed. So that's G. Marsh, who's passed away at the age of 90. Bless her.
Wow.
Sarah Kingdom, Joanna, Morgaine. Whichever, delete where applicable, all three for the purposes of Type 40 Live this time. And our tribute to Jean Marsh. But by all means, keep it coming in the comments, your memories of those TV shows and movies. I remember seeing her in Willow and then seeing her in Battlefield. It took me ages to realize it was the same woman, and yet it's basically the same performance. But then again, it's that distance between Hollywood and the BBC at the time. It seemed like a chasm that nobody could reach across, but Jean Marsh could, and she was fabulous in both of them. Really, I mean,
well, I thought they'd spent the budget on her, getting her in because on the Battlefield. Because
how
of the
dare
fact
you!
That she was in it straight away. Well, that was even back then. I knew it was cheap. So.
I was just thinking, can you imagine? I would love to hear the conversation when whoever from Big Finish called her about appearing in the first Companion Chronicles. It's like, we'd like you to appear and come in and do this audio about Sarah King. She's like, you what now? Yeah, it's like the character I did 50 years ago. You want me to what? Yeah,
it's hard to imagine it being something. It wouldn't have been in her bucket list for things she imagined she would ever do again.
Right.
I would say, Gary.
That's right, but I mean, we're all the richer for her continuing to do those as often as they asked her. I think it's great
to do this stuff. Do you think you'll go back and watch any of this material in light of the fact that she's no longer with us, Charlotte? Is there any of those stories that you haven't seen?
I haven't seen all of Dalek Master Plan, but I think that's because of the nature of it a little bit. So I might just try and find some of that.
Give it your best shot. Yeah. With me, I think it'll be a question of sort of revisiting some of those childhood movies more so than the Doctor Who stuff, because I know the Doctor Who stuff quite well, particularly Battlefield, which I think I know line for line. But yeah, that's the late Gene Marsh. We'd like your memories too. Of course, we would there in the comments section. Which do you prefer, Return to Oz or Willow? There are no wrong answers. It's all part of the fun. Greetings and felicitations, says the Peter Venkman fan site. In late, nonetheless, but the beauty of the show is you can do some proper time traveling and shuffle back through and catch up on everything that you've missed as we head into Easter weekend. A long Easter weekend means you've got more chance to catch up on it and no excuses. That's how I look at it. More comments about the career of Gene Marsh in the live chat from people. Yeah, good to hear that we've stirred some memories here as well. Rose Kirby says, I want to wish you all a great Easter weekend. Here's hoping I can join you in around 46 hours' time. Until then, great Easter egg hunt and have an excellent time.
Good
Every
night,
year.
Rose.
Every year somebody cracks that joke, Charlotte. Every year without fail.
I'm surprised you haven't yet. I was sort of waiting on some sort of
rising.
egg-related
He is
joke.
pacing himself.
I'm rising above it, Gary.
He's getting ready for Saturday. That's what it is. He's just
That's
getting
right.
all prepped.
Yeah, there's going to be egg jokes aplenty on Saturday, no doubt.
Would I do that to you? Would I? Of course I
hope
would.
so.
Of course I would. Look, our thoughts are obviously with the friends, family, colleagues of the late Gene Marsh. All those performances, all those memories. Yeah, we've just discussed briefly some of them, nowhere near all of them on this edition of the show. Let us know your favourites there in the comments.
Hello and welcome. I will be off saving the universe, but while I am doing that, make sure you listen to, what was that, Chesterfield? Type 40. Yes.
Yes, feasts for all the senses now as we delight ourselves with the talent and dedication and wealth of creativity that is lining Doctor Who fandom. It's second to none, and that's why there's never any shortage of pretty pictures to distract us from the dull every day as we scroll through our pudding-brained lives. And at Type 40 Live, we've always done what we can to encourage and showcase Doctor Who fan artists and fan art in this, our virtual gallery. It's all to try and fill up these bloody great big grey walls here. Big virtual grey walls. What we need is artwork to pin up or blue tack up here and there to liven the place up just a little bit. The Doctor's obviously not going to bother, so we thought that it would fall on us. And understandably, in the week that a new season of Doctor Who begins, a lot of the artwork that's turned up has revolved around the robot revolution, Charlotte. So digital artwork posters to challenge those ones, the official ones, such as this one from Sound by Synth over on X. So a mixture of the photographs, some of the photography that we've already seen umpteen times, mixed in with various digital elements. This is people angling for jobs at Big Finish doing the covers, I think.
Well, yeah, and I think because they don't really do like posters, big posters anymore for the episodes, which I love that during the Matt run. You've got like these really bespoke pieces of artwork every week. And I think that these are sort of in the spirit of them. They make me think.
Several of them have turned up, and it's a question of sort of which is your favourite, really, because they all use largely the same photos, but people have their various little tricks and flashes, Matt, the things that people like to do, such as this one from Steve Mellor. I really like Steve's work because he tends to play a lot with different colours, and it's very sort of stylised, a lot of his work, and he gives it a kind of painted look too, which just separates it a little, which makes you sort of stop dead in your tracks when you're scrolling.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen the episode, so I can't really comment on the thing. But yeah, obviously, you know, to me these are probably looking better than the actual official stuff. So you know, that's a plus.
So as much as I like the official stuff, there's only so inventive that they can be because it's all so corporate. We've got people joining us even now. That's a better poster. says Lee Smith, which could mean this one or that one. Let us know which one you prefer. There's so many. Would make a great poster. Hi all, says Duncan the Funky Evans. Charlotte. How funky is your monkey, and how loose is your goose, Gary?
I'd like to know how he. I'd be curious to how he got that nickname.
I don't think we want to know. I wouldn't like to speculate. Have a happy Easter weekend and good night, says Simon Ashley.
Hi, Simon.
Vanessa looks like she prefers these originated posters here for the latest episode, the Robot Revolution, there from Steve Meller and Sound My Synth. Yeah, I like the first one down. The first one, Lee Smith prefers the first one, Sound My Synth poster. Yeah, I'm torn. There were several of them, but these were the ones that I felt. These two were the ones that really stood out because of how they're put together. A lot of the others were very nicely done, but arranged in a very similar way. These have got a little bit more about them, but I can't recommend it enough that you hit up Steve or Sound My Synth there over on X and see more of their work. It's fantastic stuff. Tom is back in the live chat. Thank you for liking my Easter photo. How could we not? It's absolutely wonderful stuff. Wonderful. Thank you for sending it into us. It's got us all in the Easter spirit. The rest of the fan art does revolve around G. Marsh, the late great G. Marsh, including this that was sent into us by somebody else who's in the chat. This time, Stephen Braddock. This portrait here of G. Marsh, which he's drawn just this week there on the 16th of April, and cutting her eyes there at probably a Dalek, I'd say.
Yeah, you got her nose right, that's for sure.
Yeah, very good, Stephen.
Stephen's fan art is often on the wall at the Type 40 Facebook group. If you head over there, nice. Thank you for sending that in, Stephen. Fabulous. Fab, says Peter Harrington, so he agrees with me. Amazing art, says Cheryl. Cheryl, I hadn't seen you there. Happy Easter, Cheryl. Thanks for joining us. Cheryl's watching it on YouTube, as is Lee Smith. She chips in with a call there, Lee. Alive and flame. Just get the thumbs up. That's a good thing. Lovely drawing, says Tom Stephen. So, yeah, this is all constructive and appreciative critique here of Stephen Braddock's latest piece there, tribute to Gene Marsh. And there's also, obviously, Gene's stories are one of them has been decimated in the archives, really, and the other one's incomplete. The Dalek Master Plan and the Crusade. We've got still images, of course. We've got telesnaps and the work that people do in reconstructing them. But of course, now we are in an era where things get frequently colorized, animated and or colorized, Charlotte. And but it's although there's great advances in all of these things year on year on year on year, I think that what really separates the quality of them, I think, is sensitivity, isn't it? And somebody has attempted to colorize this particular moment from the Dalek Master Plan. So check this out, brought to life in color by Tinted Who. What a beautiful job. Every time I see one of these, Gary, they seem to get better.
I adore seeing any colorized pictures from 60s Who, Troughton or Hartnell. It's just, I gasp. It's always just such a, and you can tell it's done out of love because this is just amazing.
The light sources, I think it's the attention to detail and sensitivity to observe where the light is and to alter the colors accordingly. Specifically how the light is on Peter Purves' shoulders in this shot, Matt.
Yeah, no, I'm just I'm actually checking out all the shadows and everything. It's quite well done. I mean, I couldn't do it. So
obviously they have their methods, don't they? The people who work on this kind of thing, they have a routine, a sort of a workflow really that they put the images through, and they various masks they drag into various situations. So they have not shortcuts as such, but I think once they've arrived at their way of doing it, they kind of refine it depending on the image that they're working on at any given time. But I just thought this was really lovely, and I just happened to see it this week. Normally, I'm against colorization, but in 60s Who case, it's mind-blowing, says the Zero Room. I was the same, and it gradually got me, Charlotte. It gradually won me over.
Yeah, and what I love is it's not crisp. It's not like the colours are suddenly become uber crisp and uber bright, because they shouldn't be like that, because it should still retain, like you said, that sensitivity of it still looks grainy. And I think that's brilliant, because it feels of that era, even though there's colours there. You can almost imagine the sort of what it would look like on the screen if they had colour, because it's got that graininess and that slightly sort of drabness. And I just mean as in the colours compared to then. Sorry, the colours now are very bright, whatever you watch. Whereas then it would look a little bit more drab and dour if they had the colours. So I just think whenever they can, I'm like you, it's just when it's 60s or trout and stuff, it's just mesmerising. But I do have to go on that note, so I shall see you guys on Saturday, and we'll see what Russell gives
Oh,
us.
she's back for more on Saturday. I did wonder. See you Saturday, Charlotte. Thank you again. Good night. Yes, we are. We are back on Saturday. More about that in a moment or two. But just to finish off, there's this piece too. Another fabulous picture. This is from Nightwing 1975. Just a really nice kind of almost animated style take here. Animated adventure, kind of like Johnny Quest style version of Sarah Kingdom, Gary.
And even something like this, he's got the face and the eyes totally right. I should say whoever Nightwing is. I'm sorry, but I mean that is unmistakably Gene Marsh. You can tell even from this. That's a great job.
Yeah, I do like all this kind of thing. You can imagine her in an episode of Archer, Matt.
Yes, yeah. I haven't seen Archer, but I know what you mean. Yeah, it does look like it's out of one of them Doctor Who animated Blu-ray DVDs that they've got, like Galaxy 4 or something very similar. So yeah, no, it's nice. It's nice. I like it. I really like it. It's very, very kind of reminds me of Jerry Anderson type as well.
Yeah.
So
Thunderbird strips.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Jerry. I'm thinking of Captain Scarlet, but yeah.
We need a Sarah Kingdom cartoon now, says Lee Smith. The cartoon we never knew we needed. And did she get an action figure? Asks Lee Smith.
She got a
Not
statue.
that I've ever seen.
She got an Eagle Moss statue, I believe, but it may have been a bootleg. So yeah.
Yeah, they did manage to put out about 500 of those, didn't they? So I would hope they'd get around to Sarah Kingdom. Because it would only be right that she joins that sort of pantheon, really, of classic companions where she absolutely belongs. We need more fan art here at Type 40 Live, I'm afraid. And this is a nice selection of art celebrating Sarah Kingdom for the most part. And yes, send us some more by all means. You can reach out to us through our social media. That's on Instagram and X at Type 40 Doctor Who, of course. Join the Facebook group if you like. Cut out the middleman and plaster the walls with your own or somebody else's fan art there over in the Type 40 Facebook group, just like Stephen has, for example. He's putting his work up there. As soon as he creates it, it's out there to get sort of instant crit from hungry art fans and Doctor Who fans. You can go and join the Type 40 Facebook group there and drop us some fan art by all means, or some links. You can be part of Type 42 or Type 40 Live, or from the palm of your hand. Send us in some feedback, some comments, some suggestions, even through SpeakPipe, new for 2025 there. So the idea is you record a message, basically, over there. Leave it to us, and we'll incorporate it in the show somewhere at some point. And if you've got any general sort of constructive criticism or any requests for anything you'd like us to cover, we'll do our level best and get back to you as well there. Because this is where we cover all of Doctor Who, the past, the present, and the future. For now, we're going to be focused on the present, on the next edition of the show, as the new series is very much with us. Into week 2, I'd like to say this artwork is everywhere. It isn't, but it's everywhere here, where fans are dwelling, at least. And we're getting behind it as much as we can, commenting on the things. commenting on the things that fans always comment on. Of course, we are, Matt. We'll be covering the ratings, the stupid stuff that the stars and the producers might say here and there. They're saying so much we can't possibly talk about it all because it would be here. We'd be here forever, wouldn't we? But we'll cover as much as we can on each live stream, and to keep it on point, good-humoured, and even when they drive us mad, it's not the end. It's not the end of the world. It's not. They won't be on it. They won't be around forever. They won't be attached to this show forever, I'd like to think. And you can catch up with us next, just as the lady said, on Saturday coming, streaming from 8 p.m. again, UK time across all platforms. More new Who reactions. Type 40 Live Tune will be our instant reactions, our instant review of that upcoming episode there in just 48 hours' time. Lux by Russell T. Davies. So if you haven't already and you want to get subscribed, turn on those notifications just in case you forget between now and then, because obviously you could be on an Easter egg hunt or doing something like that, or actually watching Doctor Who rather than listening to a bunch of people talking about it. So yeah, make sure you're subscribed if you think you're subscribed, because YouTube can be funny like that. And hit the cluster bell to get all your notifications. Gentlemen, what a show. What a fabulous show. Happy Easter, Bug.
Yeah, happy Easter. No, I'm looking forward to, I mean, the instant reaction shows are always, great time for whether it's, whether you think of it as therapy or decompression or whatever. It's always a great time. I actually do want to point out something that, the indispensable Crimpling Doubloon lists always the radio and TV listings for Doctor Who related stuff at the end of the show. And something I didn't know about, he says this Saturday at noon on Radio 2, Joe Wiley's doing a special to mark the 20th anniversary of New Who called 20 Secrets from 20 Years. So I didn't know about that. I'm glad he put that. I'm going to catch that. They did great documentaries for the 60th on Radio 2.
Yeah, it's the same. It's largely the same kind of thing. It's by Bright Branch Media, and it's one of those things that we simply run out of time to cover. But yes, it's up on the BBC Sounds app already. I think it's sort of out there. People can hear it. But yeah, we'll be definitely talking about that at some point in the near future. So listen and watch out for that. And yeah, Crimpling Doubloon always drops the various links to everything that's going on other channels as well. So when Doctor Who actors or actresses have popped up in movies on places like Talking Pictures TV, Crimpling is all over that there. Yes, that's Joe Wiley and Stephen Powell on this one. It was Joe Wiley with Toby Haydock on the last one, wasn't it? Because it was around the time he came on the show last. So yeah, get over to that. 20 Secrets from 20 Years this Saturday on Radio 2. But yeah, you can get it on the BBC Sounds app, as I understand it.
Right.
Yeah, get that and get more from us this coming Saturday. They're a different animal, I think. The reaction shows, we get sort of, if we're not plastered when we start, then we usually are by the end. And if you do it the way I do it, at any rate, I don't make notes or anything like that. They are genuinely my instant reactions. I don't read reviews. It's something amateurs do. I don't read reviews. You get my honest, completely off the cuff, unprompted reactions there, because just reading the synopsis there from Russell T. Davies previewing the Radio Times, that's literally all I know. So I'll be discovering when the general public do, the bulk of it come Saturday there with this new episode of Doctor Who. So head back to Type 40 on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook or X to get our instant reactions. And there'll be other people popping in as well from across podcasting and YouTube. I think it is time that we pull the old handle. Thank you, as always, to Charlotte Shields there. She had to pop off like Mary Poppins. Off she went. But who else? Let's get some more comments here. Another one in the books, says Lord Thoth. Big book now, Lord Thoth. Very expanding book. Thank you, Lord Thoth, for your support, as ever. And happy Easter to you, too. The spider's name. We've got an answer. The spider's name in Tom's big Easter picture is Betsy, and we were wondering about that earlier on, weren't we? I
love how everything on these streams always ends up going full circle. Yeah,
it's what they say, closing the loop, Gary. We're closing.
That's right. You're a master at that. Very good.
We're closing. Well, I can't take credit for this one. It's all down to Tom.
Nice
Here
work,
he is,
Tom.
and let's get Tom's picture back up, because really this would have taken a serious amount of time and skill to put something like this together. So Tom, a very happy Easter to you and all of yours, and you head over to T Dwarf Productions and see some more of Tom's fabulous work across social media. It really is so distinctive, so charming. We sincerely love it here at Type 40, all of us do, and yeah. Can't recommend it enough. He was open for commissions for a little while, so yeah, hit him up and see if he can make you something from maybe your favourite Doctor Who story. I don't know. Okay, will Lux be joining that list of favourite stories in just 2 days, or nights, or mornings time? Heaven knows. But Type 40 will be back with those instant reactions in a couple of days, as soon as we can make it back here with the hottest of takes. There, and we'll have your comments, your rants, and your raves too. All opinions, as always, are welcome. That's Saturday from 8 p.m. as always, UK time here. Matt, I know you're sitting out that season, but it's great to catch up with you anyway. I hope you have a great Easter, mate. That long weekend you were talking about, and let us know by the next time we catch up with you what you get watched.
Well, today is going to be, since it's Good Friday, and I am Catholic, and we believe in Lent, I will be having fish fingers and custard tonight. So.
Oh, very good.
I can't wait.
How about you, Gary?
I'd actually like to try that now. I know that fish is on Fridays during Lent. So, you mean?
Yeah, I tell you what, it's really hard for me not to eat a pizza tonight.
Yeah.
Any treats for you coming up, Gary? Have you screwed yourself something away?
Yeah, I'll probably be having some, the standard, chocolate and candies and stuff. I mean, I mean, if I get bored, I'll hide some eggs around the apartment and see if I can, then go hunt for them. Who knows?
I know. I always get given one egg a year, and I did. I put it in the. I put it in the bottom drawer in the kitchen the year before last, and it was still there come Christmas. But last year I did eat it. It was lovely. I think it was a Kit Kat one, so I'll probably get one this year as well.
I am curious. I'd love to ask him. He's not here, but speaking of eggs, Simon has that big Doctor Who like chocolate egg from like 1980 or whatever. I wonder if he dips into that around.
He's been saving it for 40 years. I do wonder if he ever sort of went out on the piss, maybe, and got the munchies. Would does he have to
not if a mouse has been nibbling on it? No.
Does he have to keep that 45-year-old Easter egg in a safe somewhere in case he get like American Werewolf in London? He just gets consumed in the small hours and gets all ravenous and tears open the foil.
Right.
Before you know it, that 200 quid Easter egg has gone the way of all things. We'll I'll have to ask him that when we get back.
We will.
But that's it for another one. We always have the time. If you have the space here at Type 40 Live, we'll see you on Saturday for that instant reaction. Take care. Bye-bye. Have a great Easter.